What's up, folks, and welcome to Indie Showcase. I got something a little bit different for you this time. It is a roguelike, an actual like, not a light, but this is one I kind of haven't really seen before done this way. And it's been interesting, though, at least in my time with it so far, it's definitely come with some frustrations as well. So this is Despot's game, and it's an interesting title in that you are controlling a group of humans, but you don't control the battles. The humans actually fight them out automatically, but you have to upgrade and position them in order to try your best to take out the various enemies to get through this dungeon that you're in and eventually reach the end. You're a bunch of humans that have been thrown in here by, well, a despotic robot, and that's why it's called Despot's game. And it's pretty interesting. I streamed some of this the other night, and I played a little bit more of it now, and I do find it very interesting, but it's definitely got a few caveats. Now, this is in early access, but the devs are saying that in its current form, this is the game they plan to make. And the reason they are putting it into early access is to get more feedback and to continue to evolve and add content to it. Now, to me, that seems fairly standard early access, so I'm not sure if this is the game they plan to make, why they need to add more to it in early access. But nonetheless, it's kind of a cool way of approaching it. And there is a lot of content in here already. You're not getting a very stripped down bare experience for your money, so that's always good. So there are multiple difficulty levels in this that you can unlock by achieving different types of objectives, as well as different starting layouts. And you will also unlock a lot of other power-ups and things like that, and upgrades for your units that you can apply as you go through. Now, the thing with this is a proper roguelike. There is no permanent progression beyond those sort of starting unlocks. You're not unlocking permanent higher statistics for your units between runs. Every run, you're basically starting fresh. So, you see I've got these 4 people here, and they've all got different weapons. The amount of weapons and abilities in this is kind of nuts. There's a lot that you can do. And as you can see here, you can move your units around the battlefield, and you can also auto-place them by pressing or holding the Q button. The auto-placement is definitely not ideal. You're going to want to, especially in the later levels, you're really going to have to really be strategic at how you spread people out. If you rely on the game to do it for you, you're not going to have a good time. And that's certainly by design. So every time you walk into a new room on a floor, it's going to show you where the enemies are going to spawn and what kind you're going to deal with. The size of this symbol will determine if they're sort of lower level units or higher level units. So you have as much time as you want here to sit and place people however you like. And you have different types of classes. You have ranged units, melee units, magic units, tanks, which is this type of guy here. And everything has its own statistic: attack power, speed, movement speed, and the amount of armor. And then obviously there are what they call mutations, which are essentially genetic upgrades that you can both acquire and purchase throughout your runs that will significantly impact things. This game has a lot of systems that tie together, like a lot. This is going to be hard to explain quickly. So when you're ready to go, you hit the fight button. At this point, you have no control. You can click over your units as well as the enemies to see their statistics in terms of their health, mana, and what they're doing. And there you go. When it's done, depending on the room you're in, you'll get different kinds of shops or upgrade stations. So you got credits up here, or tokens as they call them, and you earn some of these for everything that you kill. And you can spend these on buying additional humans for your army, or puny humans as they're called. You can buy different weapons that are available. For a price, you can re-roll what's in stock. And there's also multiple upgrades you can apply to the shops that will give them both more stock and more varied stock. These upgrades are permanent to your run. So if you upgrade a shop, it will stay upgraded for the entirety of your run every time you encounter one. So you're going to run into these a lot. So you do that, and then what you can do here is, you see you've got a mini map in the upper left, which you can expand out by holding tab on your keyboard. And this is the other major resource. So you're going to see this thing here. Yes, you also have food. So every time you move between rooms, you're going to see here, your food will decrease by the amount of puny humans that you have. The more humans, the more food you need. So what will happen if you run out of food is that over time, nobody will die, but over time this bar will decrease and they will become less effective in battle. is basically what it is. If they start getting less effective in battle and you manage to acquire them food, they will get full again and they'll be right back up to full strength. So when you're in a room that has this symbol on it, you can spend some of your tokens to buy food stocks. You want to keep this high if you can. If you really get desperate later on, any of the rooms that have these things have what's called the sacrificial pit, which is you can take one of your humans, toss them in there, and you get 5 food. Yeah, this game's a little bit dark. And your goal is to get through every level and get to the boss, which as you can see is the room above us here. Take out the boss and move further down. And then after a certain amount of levels in a particular area, you will complete that biome and move into a new area with new enemies and new challenges. So that's kind of the basic concept here. Now, I'm also going to show you how the upgrade system works. The upgrade system in this is really crazy. You are never going to have enough tokens to do everything you want in this. You are going to really have to pick a particular type of strategy and roll with it. And the depth to this is actually one of the things that I think is so cool. So we're in an upgrade room here, which means we get a free mutation by doing this. We don't get to choose it, but though there are other places where you will get to choose it. And you see here, fencers, which is a particular class, spin every 14 seconds, dealing their attack as magic damage over 7 seconds for 30 mana. See what I mean? There's a lot to this. There's a lot of statistics here. So we're going to bring that up, and it goes up there, and there we go. And you can see here that we have upgrades for different classes. So this one is only for fencers, but this one is cross-functional, which means it works to multiple ones. Your classes can level up, or rather your individual units can level up through experience, which is the bar down here, but also they get permanent stat boosts for the duration of the run if you can acquire a certain number of upgrades relevant to their class. So I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but basically get enough upgrades for the fencer specifically, and the fencer, all your fencers will get extra abilities. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot to manage. There's a lot to this. But the nice thing is because it's mostly a turn-based title, or at least turn-based until you hit the fight button, you can really sit and think if you need to. And in the later levels, you're really going to have to sit here and stare at things for a while and ponder what you want. So you see we've got some additional things here, and this is like a tech tree where basically you have to unlock the first thing in a tree and then the next thing unlocks. But all of these have multiple different levels. So you can increase the mana, you can restock at the shop for less. Newbies, which are new humans that don't have any weapons, are stronger. You can just do raw health and attack speed increases. So you can do a lot here. And again, you're going to have to balance this stuff quite a bit because you're not going to be able to do everything that you want in the game. Now, you see we also talked about food before. This is the other thing. Every time you move between rooms, and I mean every time, whether the room has been cleared previously or not, that food gets burned. So you got to be careful not to overdo it. As long as you take out the boss, you don't have to visit every room in a level if you don't want to. There can be benefits to that, but also you're going to have more fights and more challenges, so you want to be careful about how you do that. Now, some rooms have a teleporter in them, and you can teleport between other rooms in the level that have a teleporter. And if you do that, that doesn't take any food, but that only allows you to go between two different points in a level, or anywhere, 2 different points that have teleporters in them. So now we're at the boss, as you can see here. So we're going to take out this guy. The boss is a high-level enemy. Sometimes they have ads with them, sometimes they don't. So you see here, here's that crazy spin ability I unlocked for fencers. So he's become a spinning death machine. There we go. And it's taken out. So now we go to the next level, and I also love this part. When you send them down the tubes, they're all like, whee! And then when you get to another level, you get one of these text events. Now, these are interesting. There's a fair number of them, and this game doesn't take itself seriously at all. This game very much revels in dark humor. Even the tutorials are kind of snide in a way that I can appreciate. So you can see here, the humans encounter a cute little animal in a robe. It is sitting on a large rock in the lotus pose, its 4 paws folded on its knees. How cute, let's catch it and eat it, or worship it, effectively. And depending on what you choose, different things will happen. And some of these are quite a bit more complicated than others and have a lot more choices. Some of them are very straightforward. So the master's willing to give us a lesson if we give him 5 dumplings, which is 5 food. And there we go. So we got some attack bonus for that. And that gives us a free mutation. Now, here's the only problem with those that I'm going to tell you is I think they're pretty interesting, and some of them are pretty funny. They're actually taking new events from the community. There's actually an email you can send where you can put in your own event, and they might add it to the game. My only problem with those is that they do repeat a lot, even though there is a decent number of them, and the outcomes are always the same as far as I can tell. So as long as you can remember what choices you should be making for each one, once you've encountered them enough times, you can just min-max them effectively, which kind of takes a lot of the chance out of it. And that's where I get a little bit conflicted with this game, is at least at this point, it feels to me that chance and randomness plays a much bigger role in this than it should. You know, the levels are randomly generated, which is fine. That's pretty normal for this kind of game. And you're going to notice that each level you get into is going to be generally themed around a particular either single type of enemy or genre of enemy. You're going to see it's these little drone things in this level. And one of my guys got killed there. You're going to lose tons of units in this. That's kind of the point. You're going to lose units a lot, and you're going to have to restock and re-equip them as you go. Up to a certain point, every person that you will lose drops their equipment and you can reuse with someone else. I'm not sure if there's a limit to how many times you can do that or not, but sometimes it hasn't happened. This is also a little side event. You can run into these funny little side events in here where they're all completely different, and they're really goofy and kind of ridiculous. But basically, where you can accomplish some kind of optional goal, and if you do it, you get something for it. I've run into a few of these so far, and they've been pretty interesting. I actually died trying to do a previous one because I was trying to pursue a guy around a level and I got killed. So the thing with this is that every level is going to be themed around a certain kind of enemy. And that's not necessarily a problem, but the thing that I've found frustrating in my playthroughs, at least so far, is that I also love how every different weapon you equip somebody with completely changes their animation and their look, and there's a ton of these, and it's great. I really like that. Again, doesn't take itself seriously at all. The problem that I've had is that you don't know what kind of enemy you're going to be facing on a new level until you get there. And I found that sometimes the game has thrown me into a situation where the enemy that I end up having to have a level themed around, I'm not equipped for. You know, I stacked my previous level run to be based upon fighting the type of enemy that was in that level. And then I get to the next level and it's like, yeah, hey, you've got to fight a new kind of enemy here that is really not tailored to your group of units at all. And you kind of get screwed sometimes because unless you happen to have a very diverse build of your team because of something that you needed for a previous level, you might end up finding yourself just getting completely slaughtered right away because the game throws enemies at you that you were never prepared for and that you had no knowledge of beforehand to get prepared for. I feel like they wouldn't have designed the game that way, so I'm going to be honest with you. Given the general feedback of this game so far by the public, I feel like I'm missing something. The game has a fairly lengthy tutorial, but it also doesn't feel like it entirely covers every aspect in that regard. And that's where I felt a little, I don't know, things just felt a little bit off to me in that regard, I guess you'd say. And the biggest problem that I've had as well is that the game doesn't really give you a significant tutorial on unit placement and how that affects things. And a lot of the time it's really felt to me like my units are kind of doing what they want even if I didn't stack them that way. This is particularly true with healing units. Now I don't have any here right now, but in prior runs I had you can get healing units that they have very low attack, but they have the ability to heal other units on the battlefield. Now you can't direct those units to what they heal. They're supposed to heal whoever's closest to them. But the problem is with that is that they will kind of they'll kind of do whatever they want once the battle starts, in the sense that, so like those healing units, for example, I'll place them a certain way by hand to make sure that they're healing the units that I think need it, whether it's the ones that are currently low on health because your health persists between battles, like this guy's nearly dead here, for example, or I'll try to place them in a way that I think is strategically valuable. The problem is when you start the battle, a lot of your units will just sort of run to wherever they want. Or will run not where you thought they were going to. Even if you tried to place everything accurately here and everything looks right over here, you'll hit the button and you'll be like, wait, I didn't think that's where you were going to go. So because the healers focus on healing the unit that's closest to them, they'll heal somebody else. And you'll be like, but that's not what I want to do. And then that person's dead. And then one failure like that can snowball into a number of others where you could be in the middle of a really, really killer run, which I have been a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, because either a unit didn't do what you were very certain it would based on how you directed it, or even in cases like this where the game just isn't giving me the opportunity to buy healing units, you're going to find yourself have everything turn into a complete cluster, and you're going to be like, but I was doing everything right, you know, or you're going to walk into a new level and be like, well, the enemies in that this level is themed around are enemies I was never prepared for, so great, now I'm just screwed. And again, I am fully willing to accept the fact that could be a me problem. There's something I might not be getting, even though I played this for several hours now. There might be something I'm missing. There might be something I'm not getting. There might be something that maybe the game does need to do to tutorialize itself a little bit better to make that clearer. And I will admit, I do like the complexity of this game. I like how there's a million different plates to spin. You know, you got these mutations, you got these mutations, you've got all your different class abilities, you've got all the different weapons that they have and how that's affected by things. You've got to place people accurately. You've got to try to adapt to the types of enemies that you have. And you have to deal with the fact that, yes, this is a roguelike, and roguelikes do have a lot of luck. And a key thing that you have to accept when you're playing roguelikes is that sometimes RNGesus is just not going to be on your side, and you're going to get screwed, and you're going to be like, well, that sucks, and that's it. You hit the button again, and off you go. So this is a higher level medic, this one here. So also the stale pretzel is an amazing melee weapon, and he gets into the chef's hat. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Like, the personality of this game is something I can't argue with at all. It's really good. Like, this game is really, it's funny, and you know, it'll put stupid grins on your face on a regular basis, which I can always appreciate. But yeah, I have felt too often when playing this that I was either extremely unlucky through no fault of my own or extremely lucky through no fault of my own. It hasn't really felt like I've been in control of the battle as much as I should be. And even though the point of this game is you set your armies up, and I'm not doing this ideally right now because I'm making a video, I'm just sort of hitting Q and having the game auto-assign guys and everything. I'm not doing this run ideally here because I'm trying to keep things moving. So I do tend to play a little bit better than this on my own. But it just feels like that too often you are the victim of circumstances that were beyond your control because the game either didn't give you enough information or it just decided, you know, you had your best laid plans, and then all of a sudden the game's just like, yeah, we're going to turn that on its ear because we are, you know? And yeah, that's been my main gripe so far. I think these are absolutely things. This is also, yeah, the Sanusi fridge. This is for a tank unit. Literally pushes a fridge around. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. There's another guy who carries something around called the periodic table, which is he literally bashes people with an upside down table. Like I said, right? And yeah, that's really been my beef, is that I've gotten to certain points in the game where it just feels like I'm getting absolutely slaughtered and that there was nothing I could do about it because I just didn't have enough information, or again, despite laying things out in a way that I thought was effective, the game would just decide to do what it wants and then kind of go, yeah, we know you spent time making out that strategy, but we're going to do things this way, which is going to end up getting you screwed. That was frustrating to me. I hope that's something they can improve a little bit. Either give you a little bit more granular control. Like, to be honest with you, I don't think it would break the game to be able to direct healers who they should heal. So that you either don't have to, you know, hope on a wing and a prayer that you can place them in a way that's going to work, or just overbuy too many of them, which is what I've done in other runs, just to try to keep your other people healed up long enough. I don't think it would break things to be able to allow me to have at least a little bit of a direction around my healers. But I'm not sure. Maybe that wouldn't work, but this is definitely a complete game right now. Lots of people have beaten it. There is actually a mode called King of the Hill where you're competing for leaderboard position against other players. Unfortunately, you have to complete a full run of the single player to unlock it, and I have not, so I haven't gotten a chance to try that. But that's kind of its end game thing. So you see how quickly I got completely screwed there? Yeah, again, I know I wasn't playing this ideally because I was playing for a video, but still, you kind of get the point here, right? So yeah, the King of the Hill mode here has these leaderboards and things like that, but you can't, I haven't been able to try this yet because you do have to complete a full run of the base game in order to do that. There are achievements as well. Most of these are pretty gnarly to get, actually, so you're gonna be testing yourself with that for sure. But there's a lot to this, and it's going to be a big challenge for you, I think, and it will definitely reward your time if you put the time in. And I do think that despite the lengthy tutorial, that this game really does want you to explore and learn and figure things out on your own to best max out yourself. And I do respect that a lot, actually. I just feel in some ways it could just be give you a little bit more information and maybe give you a little bit more granular control to make things better. But I really think you should judge for yourself on that one, because this is very unique, and that's a lot of its appeal, to be honest with you. So your mileage definitely may vary, and that's good. I like games that do that. So yeah, that is Despot's game. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's worth giving a crack if you like tactics games and you like roguelikes. This is both of those, and it does some very interesting things. So worth checking out, I think, for sure. But just be warned that yeah, you may be frustrated sometimes. So thank you very mumuch for watching, everybody. If you did like what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment down below, especially if you've actually played this. You know, am I getting this wrong? What am I missing that you think is the cause of my big problem based on my criticisms here? Is that normal, or is there something I could do with that? And are there any other roguelike tactics games you know of? Because I haven't seen too many. It'd be in a genre I'd like to explore a little bit more. And as usual, you can also follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week, including games that you might not always see over on this channel. Have a great community over there, and we always are welcoming to new people, so we'd love to see you there. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I will see you all on the next Indie Showcase. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.